This week I'm forced to take an AirAsia flight to Johor Bahru so that I can get over to Singapore and back to the UK after my trip to Borneo goes completely wrong. The legroom on this flight was pretty much non-existent. The person in front of me was really inconsiderate, and for the 2.5 hours it was a constant attempt to upsell everything by the cabin crew throughout the flight. If you like aviation branded t-shirts and wallets and baseball caps, AirAsia is the airline for you. Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video. After the chaos of last week's video and having to decide whether to cut my trip short or not, welcome to Johor Bahru on the very southern tip of Malaysia. I've just arrived here with an interesting AirAsia flight. The AirAsia flight from Kota Kinabalu to Johor Bahru is about 2 hours, 2.25 hours, and it was probably the worst flight I've ever had. The legroom is worse than Ryanair and EasyJet. The person in front of me who was sat in an exit row decided to lean her seat completely back and keep bouncing back every 5 minutes. Somebody behind me was playing drums on the phone at full volume, and then the person next to me decided he would take up half of my seat along with his own. So it wasn't great, but the reason I'm here in Johor Bahru is I've decided that it's just too expensive to keep this trip going. For me to get down to the jungles in Sabah to find the orangutans, which was the original point of this trip, it would have just cost too much money because it's Malaysian school holidays, and even AirAsia flights were costing £400–500 for a 40-minute journey from Kota Kinabalu to Sandakan, and then there weren't any hotels or lodges available either, so it would have been a waste of money. So what I've done is flown here to Johor Bahru. I'll be crossing the causeway over to Singapore tomorrow morning at some point, and then flying with Finnair from Singapore to Helsinki and then Manchester in economy class, which I paid for with Avios. It's nearly 14 hours in economy class from Singapore to Helsinki, so that will be fun. I'm going to spend the rest of today exploring what Johor Bahru has to offer. The only people that I've really seen around town when we were coming here in the taxi are, I'm guessing they're Singaporeans who come over to Johor to do shopping, which is a lot cheaper than in Singapore, and then they take the train or the bus from Johor Bahru Central Customs Depot across the bridge over to Woodlands Customs Checkpoint in Singapore, and then you can get buses or the MRT underground in Singapore from there across the whole of the island. So my flight tomorrow from Singapore is at 9:30 p.m. I think. So I've got the whole day. I'm hoping to be able to explore Singapore, and do a video on what to do in a day in Singapore, but we'll see how long it takes me to get through Malaysian and then Singaporean customs when we go through that process, because the queues I've seen in photos online suggest they could take a few hours. But let's see. So I'm going to freshen up and then head out to Johor and see what this city has to offer. So this is the view from my hotel here in Johor Bahru, and this seems to be the main road towards the causeway with Singapore. And if you turn left at the end of this road, you go to JB Central Station, which is where the checkpoint is. I think one of the buildings ahead of us is the checkpoint, and then I'm assuming to the left, to the right, underneath the tower blocks is the causeway to Singapore. I think you can just about see Singapore in the distance. So I'll be going on that tomorrow. So on the left here we've got the central police station for Johor Bahru in a colonial building. Got skyscrapers all around. It's like a mini Singapore, but cheaper. So this is Johor Bahru Central train station, and you can take trains all the way up to Kuala Lumpur from here, I think, via a change somewhere. Just look at the traffic waiting to go through the customs check for the causeway to Singapore. It is backlogged all the way back to where we've just come from. So far I can't really see anything worth coming to Johor Bahru for, unless you like shopping. There's shopping centres, huge shopping centres everywhere, and that's about it so far. I'm on my way to a royal palace that was built in the 1800s, but there's not much to see on the way. There's a Sikh temple next to me, I think. But everything else is just traffic noises. So there seems to be a big Indian expat community here. Lots of people just sat around, tops off, shorts down to their ankles, just sat doing nothing. There's a market over there, but it's heaving, and I don't really want to go into that. In 36 degrees temperature, but there's not really much to see here. So at the minute I wouldn't say this is worth going out of your way to visit, unless it's a day trip from Singapore. city reminds me very much of Bangkok. Lots of cars and tuk-tuks and a lot of smog and smoke, and it's really humid and stuffy and sticky. There's the central post office of Johor. And the Majlis Bandaraya Johor Bahru, which is where the government of Johor State is based, I believe. But that's a building site. And so is this that I have to walk through. I think I might be lost. I don't know where I'm going here. I'm trying to use Google Maps, but it seems to be directing me into a building site. This is the traffic going towards the Singapore Causeway Bridge. So I'm assuming these are all Singaporeans going home for the night who've come here shopping because today's a Sunday, and the shops are starting to close. I've seen a few people in suits with their arms full of designer bags, shopping bags with designer brands on. So the prices must be a lot cheaper here than in Singapore if you come this far to do your shopping. So there's some grand building, but I can't see what it is. Okay, so I think this is now the central government office for Johor Bahru State, and the other building was the old one. So this is apparently the Jubilee Arch, but it's closed at the minute. I need to cross the road, but I don't want to get run over. The pavements here just seem to end. You have a pavement and then all of a sudden it stops. So across the road there seems to be a park of some kind. Lots of green spaces. Towards this side of the city there's also supposed to be the Royal Palace, but I don't know if I can see it or not. I think this sign is quite clear. This is a protected area. Anyone caught trespassing will be shot. So I don't really want to be trying to get into that place. Okay, so in the distance we can see the Royal Palace, the big flag on top. With a nice sunset behind it. So this must be the Royal Park then. Johor's version of Green Park in London. Lots of busy roads around it. but I don't think you get shocked in Green Park if you're in at a time when you shouldn't be. So this is the Istana Bazaar, or the Royal Palace. I think it was built in 1866 by Sultan Abu Bakr, who, a military vehicle. And he built it in an Anglo-Malay style, and it overlooks the Straits of Johor, the sea that connects to Singapore. When Singapore was part of the Malay colony. The building isn't used anymore. It's now used for royal investitures and state banquets. But if we can see behind the building that I'm walking past to my right, we might be able to just spot the building, spot the Royal Palace before I need to try and get back to my hotel before it gets too dark. Okay, so it is quite a nice building. You can definitely see the English influence here. If you go to Singapore, a lot of the old colonial buildings are built in this style, and other buildings in India as well, the government buildings. But yeah, so this is the Royal Palace. Is it worth coming to Johor just to see this? Probably not. But if you're here on a shopping trip while you're in Singapore, then why not? It apparently is just a couple of miles across the water on a bridge. But we'll see tomorrow how easy it is to actually do that journey. And then you can see ahead of us there's some kind of sundial. Or maybe it's a clock. I can't quite see. And then the pavement ends here. So I can't go any further. But you can just about see. Right, so that's the Royal Palace of Johor. The pavement's ended. The motorway's starting. And I don't want to get one over. So I am going to head back to some kind of landmark and see if I can get a grab back to my hotel, because we've got a relatively early start tomorrow, so that we can get to Singapore in time for the flight tomorrow night, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take to get across the causeway. Apparently you can, if you walk through the customs checkpoint here in Johor, follow signs for woodlands, you then scan your passport, you leave Malaysia officially, you can then either get a train to Woodlands in Singapore, which is the customs and passport place in Singapore, but the train tickets have all gone for the next week from what I can see online. Or there's a regular yellow bus that we will be trying to do tomorrow. I'm assuming you can just buy a ticket there and then, but we'll find out tomorrow. So I think I'll sign off this video for now and see you tomorrow morning when we try and get into Singapore. So keep watching. So this is Heritage Street. I'll end this video in Johor Bahru here. There wasn't much else to see. It's just an average city on the southern tip of Malaysia. Sorry about the constant road noises and the dodgy filming. It was very last minute. My camera wasn't charged when I went out into Johor, so I ended up having to use my phone. And I didn't really have a plan of what to do, plus it was about 6 p.m. when I arrived. So a bit of an ad hoc video. The next one from Singapore is better planned, so make sure you're subscribed for that one. Give this video a like anyway if you liked watching and learning about Johor Bahru. And if you've been to Johor or you live there, is there anything I should have done, bearing in mind I only had a few hours at night? Or would you recommend spending longer in Johor? Let me know. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.